Hello and welcome to We'll Figure It Out. Again. Today we are going to be talking mostly. We are going to be talking in mostly. That's what I'm saying. We are going to be talking about the superhero television shows that are mostly all about to start back up pretty soon.
Yes.
I think some of it is delayed until October. Is that not correct? I
Yep.
think a lot of them are September, and Luke Cage is actually premiering pretty soon.
I think it's like a week or two.
Holy cow! Is that really that soon?
Yep.
Okay, got to get prepared for that. Netflix is a weird monster. You have to watch. You don't know what to do usually. They want you to watch all of them at once, but that's not.
Then you're left there for a year or more waiting.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do that. It's too much, man. But you have to, it's weird. But you don't want to wait a week because that feels weird too.
Right.
I just wind up watching one or two a day probably. But do you want to start there then? So we can start with the Luke Cage. There was a trailer. There was a while
trailer,
ago.
yes.
There's been some details since then as well. What do you guys think of Luke Cage getting his own show?
I'm very excited about it. I've been looking forward to him. I liked his character in Jessica Jones. So I'm happy to finally get to see more of his story because he kind of left you wanting some more. I thought in that show, and finally get to explore him and what makes him tick. And
yeah, I enjoy any time they do like a basically a backdoor pilot almost where it's like, hey, here's Luke Cage. He was in the show for a bit. He was there. You got to know him a little bit. So when they have the new show, people who hadn't heard of Luke Cage, if they've seen Jessica Jones, will be like, oh yeah, he was there. I can now watch this and learn more about him.
That's kind of what they did with Flash and Arrow.
Yeah, exactly.
They introduced him in Arrow.
They always do sort of backdoor pilot kind of things, which is good. It usually works out.
Kind of they're doing Punisher because he's getting his own series too now.
Yeah, he is.
That'll be interesting.
I'm very excited.
I think the Punisher, I think that was a great version of Punisher and him doing that. I want to see more of that for sure.
Yes.
It made me not hate the actor after Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Yeah, that's the only thing I've ever seen him in is The Walking Dead.
Me too. I hated that.
So
character.
it was spoiler alert. If you hadn't seen. I guess you hate him anyway through most of it, but especially after.
Yes. Well, we're not saying what happened. We're just saying you hate him.
Yeah, but it kind of spoiled a little bit, I guess.
It's not really spoiling anything. We just not like him because of the way he.
Like I said,
he gets his due.
Mm-hmm. That's a spoiler. Okay. But so the only thing when they first announced their lineup of the Netflix shows. They announced. I think that they announced all four of them at the same time, or pretty close, anyway. And it was like, oh man, as soon as the first off, I would say they said Daredevil. Mm-hmm. Most people, I think, or know who Daredevil is.
At least an idea.
If not from the comics or from the cartoon or from the movie with Ben Affleck, just in general, that's easily the most well known of the four of them. Mm-hmm. After that, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, kind of well known, not extreme. The one that I was actually really surprised was Iron Fist. I hadn't heard anything about it, and when I looked it up, I was very interested in any of that because I'm like, that seems very different from any of the other ones. Yeah. In a way, I could see the style of Daredevil and Luke Cage being similar, and some of Jessica Jones was obviously different than Daredevil in a lot of ways, but it was similar in some ways as well. And I feel like if Iron Fist could be completely different because of the way that whole character goes, it's very strange.
And then we're getting Defenders next year after Iron Fist. So.
Yeah, which I think, again, it could... if you watch the two shows, if you watch Daredevil and you watch Jessica Jones together, it's interesting. And obviously Luke Cage was in Jessica Jones for a bit. You can see how easily that's going to work together. It's going to be really good to watch that happen. That'll be a really interesting event to see.
On the topic of Marvel, let's jump to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where Ghost Rider is
Ghost Rider.
But Ghost Rider.
Not the Ghost Rider everyone is used to.
Yeah, Johnny Blaze. This is Robbie Reyes, a different Ghost Rider.
Who has a car instead of a motorcycle.
Yes.
That's weird. I didn't know that.
Yes.
He's
a different version.
He's riding a car?
He's like a Dodge, what is it?
Charger, Challenger, something
like that. That's weird.
I think it's a Charger. I think it's an old Charger.
I'm okay with it. I'll see.
He's a different character. Yeah. So.
There's been a little bit of... Have they shown any sort of costume or any sort of concept?
They have shown there's a picture out now of just the character of Robbie Reyes wearing his leather jacket or else.
Do you know if he's going to do...
He will have a flaming skull.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He will have that, yes.
I think you need to. How do you think that's gonna? I guess it's not. It wouldn't be. It's not gonna be that weird in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for someone to have a flaming skull.
I've seen some pretty weird stuff on the show.
So it could definitely work.
But I feel like I may throw him for a loop still. It'll be like, Well, that's new.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't. So
Yeah.
here's the thing. I don't know like a ton about Ghost Rider as a thing. I actually never saw all of the Nick Cage movie. I saw some of it, and I don't know much. About
I've
it.
seen the first one. I couldn't make it through the second one.
Is it kind of like Hulk, where he just goes like, okay, I'm now Ghost Rider. I'm gonna flip this thing, and now I'm a different thing, or is he just like?
Well, it depends on how
sometimes my skull is on fire because I want it to be.
Well, it depends on how they do the character. Because Shield, Courage kind of talked about that too. That they chose Robbie Reyes because he's the newest that the Ghost Rider is introduced in the comics over the last few years, and he also has the least amount of history, so they're able to kind of make it their own at the same time, making them true to the comics. And so it depends how they do it. Johnny Blaze, for example, he's someone who I think later on he does gain some sort of control over the Ghost Rider persona. That he's able to kind of control it. Robbie Reyes, on the one hand, though, his is a little different because, again, they might change it, but in the comics, he's not the spirit of vengeance. His is something different. Like Johnny Blaze has his spirit take over, and he's after vengeance, essentially. Robbie Reyes is kind of like if I remember correctly, like the owner of the car at one point was like some sort of serial killer or something like that. Anyway, that spirit takes over him. He's almost driven to kill people, but he's trying to like suppress it. So he's trying to use this Ghost Rider for good. While Johnny Blaze is a Ghost Rider, is someone who, does good to an extent. If you want to view it that way. While Robbie Reyes is kind of fighting his inner self.
His inner demons.
Yeah.
I'm interested with. I think it's interesting that they're doing this now because I feel like they're doing now what I think Flash and Arrow have already done, which is try to get people interested that haven't seen the show yet by saying, this is a character that you all know and love. They're going to be on the show. I feel like Flash and Arrow have already done that a lot. They've already they had Deathstroke. They had who else was on there? There was there's a what's his name? It's not the Joker. It's not the Riddler. It's
Trickster.
Yeah, Trickster. They had a couple. They've had some pretty major villains. Yes. Where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't think has had. I mean, you guys, you've watched the show more than me. Have they had like major Marvel villains on at all?
They've had
would be names.
The Inhumans, but
yeah.
But they're all. But there's not like.
Yeah,
one
Mr. Hyde, which is a semi.
Yeah, I mean, like
Marvel
I've heard Mr. Hyde.
I think the biggest Marvel character to come out of S.H.I.E.L.D. is Quake, Daisy Johnson. She's a hero, but she's probably the biggest character to come out of the show. Yeah. Up to this point.
So it's kind of really huge.
Yeah, exactly. So Ghost Rider is like. Yeah. I think by far the highest amount
definitely.
of thing.
So it's kind of like Nick Fury occasionally, but
yeah. So it's kind of like their way of saying, hey, if you haven't seen the show before, come watch Ghost Rider come onto the show and see what he does. And I mean, I think it's going to work for a bit. At least people.
Yeah, it's a good time to do it when Doctor Strange came out later this year. They introduced something that's not technological. This is very much a magical. Spiritual things that Doctor Strange will be dealing with on his own.
Which I feel like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has probably done more than the movies at this point even. Yeah. Like they've had people with powers already. Whereas the movies, not that they haven't really had anyone that has superpowers.
That's the thing, like to the extent they're still like saying, okay, we can all explain this with science more or less. Yeah. So this will be like first one will be like, yeah. Well, that's a new one.
And even the Courage kind of push it this time around. Like they won't be able to explain this one away through any.
His head's on fire. Yeah. He's totally fine.
He's a skull.
Yeah, he's not. He's not an inhuman. He has no powers. They can't really explain how this is happening.
He's dipped his head into fireproof goo, and then just takes a lighter and runs around.
So I'm excited to see how it plays out and how And they say you don't have to wait too long through the season to see him because he pops up pretty soon, I guess.
Question is though, will we wait to see him in his Ghost Rider form, or will we wait to see him in his pop up in his Robbie Reyes?
I think that they probably will just have him come on as Robbie Reyes for at least an episode. And
I think the season starts off dealing with what happened last season, and then in the episode randomly the Ghost Rider shows up, and it's like everyone's like,
that would also be fun.
What is this? I do know the first episode's title they announced is called The Ghost.
Okay, so maybe maybe there's even the way that sounds could even just be like there's mentions of him. There's hey, look at this. There's like some weird security footage or something that they see. They don't actually run into it, but they're there's reports of some weird guy running around.
That kind of goes in line with what they released as like a promo, it was like a cell phone found footage thing of him.
Yeah, that could actually be in the show.
Could be.
It's like the myth of this thing that they can't quite explain, and then it's kind of be all S.H.I.E.L.D. trying to figure out
that's part of the season 2 is S.H.I.E.L.D. to kind of go back to what S.H.I.E.L.D. was always kind of designed to do in the first place, which is to go out and find the unexplained and try to figure out what these people are, who they are, why they're around, what they.
And if with something like Ghost Rider, I hope that they have him stick around for a bit at least. Kind of join the team honorarily a little bit.
Yeah.
Just for at least for a little while.
It does make you wonder too. With Ghost Rider there, what bigger threats are there?
Yeah.
Because if he's there, then obviously you need something a lot stronger than he is.
Yeah, it's interesting to see.
And he's like one of the strongest.
Yeah, Ghost Rider is pretty strong.
Okay.
Did you say he could like beat Thanos if he wanted to?
Well, Giant Blaz's Ghost Rider took out Galactus. So.
Okay, there's your answer.
Well, that can't get much bigger than that, actually. Galactus, the eater of planets.
Yes.
Okay. That's... Don't know if he's going to show up on S.H.I.E.L.D. That would be a little bit tough to do. Just Phil Coulson being like, don't worry, guys.
We got this.
We have a Hulk. Oh, we don't have a Hulk? Well, dang it.
We have Thor.
I think the Earth's gone. He's gonna eat it. He's gonna eat
like, who do we have? Oh, we have the Spiderling or something that's down the road, exactly. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. And so, yeah, and along the lines of that, the CW is also trying a way to I think it's a way to kind of get people who maybe are familiar with the comics but for some reason haven't jumped into the show yet. And for this one, for sure, it's going to work. Like, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when it starts up again, because, again, I haven't watched it in a while, but I might. I want to see what Ghost Rider does. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to watch the first episode of Flash, because I want to see, because I have read through that comic book storyline, Flashpoint.
This is going to be a good storyline.
Yeah. So, and obviously, from what they've said and what we've seen, it's going to be very different than the actual storyline, because if you look at the actual comic book storyline, it involves everyone. It involves like Batman and Superman and all these other things that they're obviously not going to have on the show. But it would be cool if they mentioned it, if they talked about Batman in the Flashpoint universe and what he was up to and all these other things. And in that vein, do you think that I don't know, has it been confirmed yet if Arrow and all these other ones are going to be at any point in that universe, or are they just going to be on
I think it's a shared thing because all the shows are in the same universe. So
they are, and they have confirmed. You'll see some, there are some slight changes to be made to, like I said, Arrow. They have confirmed you'll see something different in Arrow. Nothing like that would change the story of what happens in Arrow, but something fans will notice, like something has changed.
Yeah. I think that what a lot of people are assuming, and I think it's a fair point, is like this Flashpoint universe obviously is so different than the regular one. They're not going to stick around in this universe. There's going to be a way for him to reverse it or to go back or whatever it is to undo what he did, and it's going to, the creators have even said it's not going to be like the whole season. It's going to be a couple episodes, maybe one or I think it could be just even be a 1 or 2 part big event.
I could see the whole season of it being it though.
Well, they have confirmed it won't
at least
be.
Repercussions.
Yeah, for sure they're going to talk about it.
They said the season mostly will revolve around the repercussions of his choices he made, while the Flashpoint timeline takes place within like a few episodes.
While he's in that timeline, it won't be as long as the whole season. It'll just be kind of that little storyline.
Is Legends Tomorrow coming back around the same time too, or because I haven't heard much about that one?
They are coming back, and it's this time around they're going to be for people who watch the show. Spoiler alert. Okay. At the end, the Time Masters are all gone now.
And they said bigger.
They've taken their place essentially now. The Legends are now taking their place as kind of overseers of time, and now so that's part of the season. So part of season 2, they're be with the Justice Society of America, which is in the comics was the precursor to the Justice League. So they're gonna have the 1940s superhero team will have some sort of role in this season. They announced like heroes like Stargirl and Arrow Man. It's kind of like the
Are they gonna have the like Hawkman and stuff from the 40s or something? Because they were part of that, weren't they?
They kind of alluded that they might have some role in this season, but they won't be the focus of this season. And then they also announced the villains of the season are the Legion of Doom, which will be made of Reverse Flash, Damien Dark, Captain Cold, and Malcolm Merlin.
Wait, so they're going to be on this show now?
Yes. They've all signed on to be series regular across all the series, I guess. So.
But Captain Cold's going to be a villain now?
Yeah.
Again?
I guess so.
Huh.
There's so many different timelines. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because Flash is messing with the time stream. Legends Tomorrow messing with the time stream.
They're jumping back in time all the time anyway, so they're going to be in the 40s.
I'm just thinking they're bringing some of the best villains from the other shows into this one. So
it is interesting to also put Captain Cold back since he died in the last season.
I'm totally into like anytime they decide to do like a retro superhero stuff. I'm into that.
Yeah.
Like that was like I didn't love The Watchmen. Have you seen the Watchmen movie?
I've seen parts of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think it's a great movie.
Love it.
But that part of it, like the being like, hey, look, superheroes back in Vietnam.
That's pretty awesome.
Holy,
I did like that.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
Anytime people
I
decide to do that, they're like, it's just is cool because it like we've seen so much of like the superheroes in the modern world and how they react with all the technology.
Yes.
Like it's cool to see something very different where they're like, this is way back in time.
Yep.
Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I'm excited too because this Reverse Flash is the actor that plays, the actual Reverse Flash, not the Harrison Wells face. This is actually the guy that plays Reverse Flash.
And he was good in that one episode where he came back and
So I'm excited to actually see him play Reverse Flash because you only seen kind of bits and pieces of him actually being the Reverse Flash. Usually it's the other actor, so it's cool to see the actual Reverse Flash.
Yeah. So sticking to the CW, the other thing that's happened is if Supergirl has changed networks, and I think
hopefully
that they're
for the
trying.
better.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully
so I think
better.
what they're doing is it seems like everyone involved with the show is kind of aware that people had mixed on the first season, and so it seems like they're trying to rebrand it. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
Like first off, they're moving to a new network. Obviously, CBS was kind of aware of how much it was mixed. And so the CW said, well, it makes sense to have it all on this network so that they can cross over and they can do all this stuff.
And we can fix the timeline. We have time travel. We can fix this.
Yeah. But not only that, not only they're moving networks and they're saying there's going to be a lot of crossovers like there already are with Arrow and Flash and all the other ones. But they're also introducing quite a few new characters, I think, to try to get people interested.
Superman is coming.
Yeah, so Superman is coming, so that's the main one that people are talking about.
And that's first time we've had Superman on CW since Smallville, and they're like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Smallville, it's been a while.
Yeah,
it's an interesting idea that they're gonna have him actually show up, and I mean they've already said that he's not gonna be like a major character or anything. It probably won't show up like often, which is good. It shouldn't be if that's. It's not a Superman show.
It's interesting. Definitely an interesting choice because there's kind of an old, idea with all of these shows. Where like, well, you can't have a character who's cooler than your main character show up, and now here's Superman in a Supergirl show. So it's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting how they utilize Superman without overshadowing Supergirl because obviously Superman's typically more popular than she is.
Yeah.
Well, they can have him come in just like occasionally. It doesn't have to be like every time.
Yeah, which is why it'll be interesting to see how they introduce. I mean, they already they kind of introduced him. They had a shadow of a person come in in season 1. I don't know if you didn't see much of the show.
I didn't see much of the show. No. I want to watch the Flash one.
Yeah, the Flash crossover. I think that's what made them decide that they wanted to switch their networks because they're like, okay, if we do this, we can cross over with Arrow, and we can cross over with Legends, whatever we want to do, with it being easier. It's all they're filming in the same location as all the other shows now because they want to be able to cross over and do all this stuff.
I think it would be a good move for them. CW seems to have a pretty good handle on their shows.
I mean, people seem to like them at least, more than this. People didn't seem to enjoy Supergirl. I think the reason. I don't honestly. I think maybe the reason that people didn't like it is because the kind of people who really enjoy watching network shows on television, they probably wouldn't really be into it.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd place to put Supergirl.
There's nothing that's there's not a superhero show on a network. I mean, there's
Gotham's the only one.
Yeah,
on Fox.
Gotham and obviously Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on ABC, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. again is more.
It's
closer.
characters.
It's closer to a procedural show than it is than Supergirl is, which is very much this person has superpowers and they're saving the day and they're it's through and through. It's definitely a superhero show, and I don't think people were expecting it. Whereas on the CW, people obviously half their stuff is in DC
it is now. Yeah,
it's I think more than 50% of their shows.
You either have superhero or supernatural.
Exactly. Their most popular, if you look at their top 5 shows, it's 3 of them are DC. I think it's crazy.
Probably 4 now. I think Supernatural's gonna be the only one that's.
Yeah. That's crazy.
The 100 is also a good show. It's on there.
That's still on.
Yep, still going.
I've heard it got a lot better. I've only seen the first 2 or 3.
It's gotten pretty good.
Other than Superman, there were other characters that were announced. I can't remember.
Miss Martian.
So Miss Martian, which anything I've seen of Miss Martian, I've loved. I think that Miss Martian is even more of an
Injustice.
Yeah, exactly. If you watch, it's so it makes you fall in love with that character even more than I did with Martian Manhunter, which I loved. I didn't think would be possible. After seeing what Martian Manhunter can do, it's always interesting to be that's crazy.
And one of the villains they announced was going to be Metallo, which is a Superman villain. He has the kryptonite kind of built into his body, so.
It's a struggle, obviously.
I think I remember that. Was that in Smallville?
It was in Smallville. Yeah. So.
Yeah, they can take stuff from Smallville. They probably.
Yeah.
It's fun. That'll be interesting to see if people remember any of that stuff.
Supergirl's an interesting show because it had some good moments in its first season. It also had a lot of really cringe-worthy moments throughout its first season. So this will be kind of its test. Can they redeem it almost and fix it? And I think this is a good chance to do it. When you have these other superheroes with her.
I think that's the thing is that they're relaunch. I think that's like we said. I think the crossover worked really well because they had people from both shows working on it. Kind of, they kind of wrote the episode together, and obviously having Barry Allen's Flash, he's great. So having him work with her, and I really do like her as an actress, and I like the show mostly. I just think that like parts of it were not written the way that I would have written.
It mostly is kind of felt to bad writing and some bad effects here and there.
That's what I would say. It's just occasionally I feel like they didn't write it the way that I would have wanted it to in some cases.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm gonna try it again.
I'm excited for this. CW's got a nice big
we have a superhero block now.
It's pretty sad when
every day of the week almost.
The TV side of DC is doing so much better than the movie side.
Yeah. Well,
hasn't always, except for the Batman movies.
Yeah.
Batman movies did so well. It was crazy. They wanted so badly for Christopher Nolan to stay on. I'm kind of glad that he didn't because he gets to do other stuff.
Yeah.
He was one of the producers on Man of Steel.
Yeah, but he was. I don't think from what I heard, he didn't really do much. He was there. He didn't.
Being an executive producer for a movie doesn't mean you don't do much.
Yeah,
I mean, Stan Lee's an executive producer.
Yeah, he's like his name is on everything still.
But he just gets pretty much royalties from the movies.
He gets money and he gets to have an awesome cameo in each movie.
Exactly.
I heard the other day Stan Lee has argued that DC should call him to be in their movie. That's why they're doing so badly.
Oh my goodness, that's really funny.
He's one that cameo in their movies.
People would go just to see Stan Lee.
That's amazing. They don't have anyone at DC that that is like a recognizable face that people would be like, oh look, it's like
you know what?
People look for Stan Lee always.
As great as Jeremy Irons is, I think Stan Lee should be Alfred.
That'd be really funny, actually.
That would be hilarious.
I enjoy when they make Stan Lee cameos like really long. Like it hasn't happened in a while, but sometimes they give him a couple lines and they make him like a character in the thing. Yes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with this. If the more he's in it, I'm happy.
They have confirmed his next 3 cameos. It'll be in Spider-Man: Homecoming. He'll be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Doctor Strange is the other one.
That's exciting.
I'm assuming they filmed Doctor Strange already, but I'm hoping they filmed the others because he's not getting any younger.
He needs to film in Thor Ragnarok right now, so he needs to jump over to Australia.
Yeah, that might
I feel like that might be a little hard for
him.
He can green screen it in.
Exactly.
Heck, they got Christopher Lloyd, Christopher Lee
they did get Christopher Lloyd now
to come in for was it Christopher Lee or was it the guy that played the old Bilbo and Lord of the Hobbit?
Oh, so, yeah.
Remember Hobbit? Like they got him to come in, but like it was one of them that was like too old to travel, but they made it work.
Okay.
I think it was the guy that played old Bilbo.
Probably. I never saw the other Hobbit movies. I watched the first one and it was fine. And then everything else I kind of lost. I was like, I'm maybe a little bit sad. I love the Lord of the Rings so much. Is there anything else with superhero TV? I think we talked about all the shows.
I've got one, but I can wait till next podcast.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm lifting my water glass.
Raise the glass.
Raise the glass.
You're here.
That's great. Don't knock over the chair. Don't knock over the... Okay, it's good.